What's the line between that and just making things up based off context for what sounds good?
Well, typically you would utilize philosophy to build a rational reason as to why certain values might matter more here. This is what do you mean? Do you think Hobbes and Locke just didn't really engage in philosophy? They're just some silly billy guys who just like had preferences?
Hobbes and Locke would be radically right-wing by the current context.
That's not what I asked you. I'll ask you again.
Of history.
Do you think Hobbes and Locke were silly little guys that just couldn't draw a through line?
I'm asking about your moral philosophy.
I asked you about Hobbes and Locke. Can you not answer it? Were they silly little guys? It's a comparison. I'm making an analogy of your logic.
Hobbes was operating under a radical modern monarchist perspective, and Locke was operating under a liberal perspective. They both ground themselves in the Greco-Roman and the Western and the Abrahamic tradition.
Sure.
That's not the modern left. The modern left is not operating on a similar level of rationality as those thinkers.
Of course they are. Most of the modern left is broadly built off of like Rawls and utilitarianism.
No, they're not. They just make shit up.
That's not true. And here's the issue, right? I can engage with conservatives and actually take their concepts seriously. I think some of the things that you've said have been insightful and interesting and should be engaged with, and I've disagreed with some things. The problem is that what you're doing instead is, I think I even heard you before saying, I don't even talk to anybody on the left anymore. Plugging your ears and not engaging with opposition that actually has substantive ideas, especially if such a large population amount finds some of these ideas valuable, is just it's just intellectual naivety and baby behavior.
It's because we gotta grab more chat.
I can engage with you in the way that you should engage with me in what I'm actually saying. Answer my question. Is Hobbes and Locke silly because they were engaging in a pluralistic question of what is the tension between these two irreducible values that they had?
The reason I reached that conclusion is because I've spent hundreds of hours or thousands of hours talking to leftists, and I've read thousands of pages in the history of the left.
But you don't know me.
And I came to the conclusion, I've seen your arguments so far, and I came to the conclusion...
Straw man half of my arguments.
And I came to the conclusion that the left is not rationally consistent, and they're not morally consistent, and so...
Agreed.
You're not going to
the
reach...
right is anti-war, but they love Trump. They're Christian
Because,
values, but they have a sex pest in there.
Because the right
sure, I can do this to the right too. That's my point, is that it's a straw man. Sure, I believe you that you have talked to a bunch of really dumb...
But the right is a composition, a coalition of disaffected liberals, libertarians, and conservatives.
The left is a coalition of progressive and liberals. The left is a
because the left is not consistent. Moderates who are rational will driven out.
Neither is the right, because the right has to have a big tent.
No, you're talking about specific
happens.
Conservatives. I am saying there is when you refer to the right, you're talking about a coalition in modern times, which includes disaffected liberals, moderates, and libertarians.
True.
They left the left because the left was morally and logically inconsistent. I'll give you an example.
They left the left for tons of reasons. Actually,
example,
probably the number one reason why they left the left wasn't just logic inconsistency, it was abhorrent left behavior and censorship, right? The way that the left treated people.
I would argue a lot of weird beliefs, like what is a woman?
It's a performance. I've already answered this question before.
This is exactly the point.
No, this is the word game.
We know what a woman is.
What's a chair? What's a chair?
A chair is an object with 4 legs used for a human being to sit on.
Is a stool with 3 legs not a chair?
It is a chair indeed.
Oh, okay. But it didn't match your definition.
Well, because a stool is a subset of an object which you can sit on.
Yeah, we're doing the category.
No, you're doing a performance that no one believes is real.
Hold on. I'm the only one just willing to engage in the actual philosophy of the question here, right? Rather than just doing some like silly conservative.
No. I'm willing. I just don't want to interrupt.
No, the point is,
Ian's always willing, right?
Human beings use words to convey ideas. Sometimes we have a mismatch in the definition of words between cultures. Everybody understands what is meant when someone says what is